Hi, I'm Jay Goldman, and you are watching Mr. Mobile on Butterscotch.com. Today, we are going to take a look at CoPilot, which is one of the first turn-by-turn nav applications to be released for the iPhone. When the iPhone 3.0 software came out, Apple announced that they were going to allow turn-by-turn apps for the first time on the platform. They hadn't been on there before then, and everyone got really excited. They actually had TomTom at the launch with them to show off some of a preview version of the TomTom Navigator application, which is now available in the App Store. We're actually going to take a look at CoPilot Live, which is a competitor to TomTom, and the reason we're actually taking a look at it is it's about half the price that TomTom is, but I think it's probably just about as rich on features. So if you're looking for some nav software, you might want to take a look at CoPilot before you shell out the bucks for the TomTom solution. CoPilot comes in 3 different flavors. You can find all 3 of them in the App Store. North American version is $34.99, Europe version is $99.99, and the UK version is $42.99. So depending on where you're going to be doing your driving, or in fact walking or motorcycling or RVing, you might want to buy one of those specific ones. Just for a comparison, TomTom US and Canada is $99.99, so you're saving yourself almost $60 by going with this solution. Now, this app is actually really big. It downloads all the maps in it. So the North American version is actually 1.12 gigabytes. You want to think about that if you have one of the smaller iPhones and you're not doing a huge amount of navigation. It is going to take up a bunch of space on your phone. If you've got a new 32 gig iPhone 3GS, I say go for it. You got plenty of space. And in fact, I did go for it. That first install, though, just so you're aware, takes a little while because it has to download the whole thing down to your phone, so it can take a little while. When you set it up for the first time, you're going to be prompted for a CoPilot ID. You can either log into an existing one or you can create a new account. That gives you access to a bunch of their online features, and one of the cooler ones, which I'm going to mention a little bit later on. So you may actually want to go ahead and sign up for it. I don't think you can actually get around it, but just go ahead and pop in an email address. It's a 2-second sign up and then you're into the app. You will notice, though, when you're typing in that email that they've done a bit of a weird thing here, and they've actually created their own keyboard instead of using the iPhone standard one, and it's actually an alphabetic keyboard rather than the standard QWERTY layout. So the first time I was trying to type on it, I felt like I had 2 left thumbs until I realized that the keys were in alphabetical order and that it wasn't a standard iPhone keyboard. I'm not entirely sure why they did that. I also noticed that when you turn the application from portrait to landscape mode, and it does support both modes, the screen does this crazy stretching thing where it's all distorted for a second and then pops back out. I haven't seen that in a previous application, which lends me to believe that CoPilot is actually not using any of the native iPhone controls and has actually gone and written all of their own ones. They may in fact have just done a direct port from some other device that displays this software, and that might be why. But all the same, keep in mind that the keyboard is in alphabetical order and it doesn't work exactly the same way as the iPhone does. Now, when you're looking at the phone, you get a standard sort of 3D map display. There's a crazy number of settings pages that you can adjust everything in this display, from the colors that it uses on the maps, to the measurement if you want metric or imperial, to which points of interest are displayed, and in fact to a setting that turns on more settings that allows you to go and customize it even further. So go nuts with the customization. You can get this down to almost exactly the way that you want it to work. When you're looking at this, you can actually pan around the map just by dragging your finger on it, which is really nice. If you'd like to rotate, you can just tap on the settings icon that's present on the map right there, and then you can tap on rotate map, and you get these arrows that let you just sort of rotate the map around. So if you kind of want to see what's behind you or over there and you're in 3D mode, you can certainly do that. Clicking on the plus button for zooming in and out will recenter if you've got yourself lost. Any of the points of interest that appear on here, and they have different icons on them, you can tap on them and it will show you a bunch of listings that match at that location. And then you can tap on one of those to get a listing for it. Entering destinations is really simple. There are a bunch of different modes in here that it gives you to do that. So if you tap on destination, you can then go by address, points of interest, contacts from your iPhone address book, picking it on the map so you can kind of move the map around and get where you're going to, an intersection that's close by, or even in fact coordinates. So if you know what the actual latitude and longitude are, you can enter them into the phone. One of the things that's mentioned on the CoPilot website, but I actually couldn't find in the software, is that it suggested that you would actually be able to browse through the photos that are in your iPhone's album and pick one of the photos, and it would navigate to the location that the photo was taken at, because the iPhone geotags them using the GPS. I wasn't actually able to find that in the software, so that may be something that's coming in a subsequent version. You can plan routes that have multiple stops in them. So if you're going from here to a store that you need to pick something up, and then over to a restaurant, and then maybe out to see a play or something, you can program all of those stops into one route, and it will take you from one stop to the next. You can also display the location of your friends using the CoPilot Live Premium service. So that's the ID that I mentioned at the beginning. If you've got an ID and your friend has an ID, you can actually put both IDs into here, and it will let you see where your friends are. Now, it's a little bit creepy, so you might want to do it with all of your friends, But certainly, if you have a spouse or somebody along those lines who you feel a little more comfortable sharing, you can do that. And you may want to consider that if you don't want your spouse to know where you are at all times. But you can definitely take advantage of that service, and I'm pretty sure you can turn them on and off. So if you don't want to see where everybody is or you want to hide your location, you can do that. There are a bunch of other premium services listed on the CoPilot website. I wasn't actually able to find all of them in the software right now. I have a suspicion that it may depend on which country you're in as to whether they're available or not available. But the premium services listed on the website actually include some pretty cool stuff. There's a fuel prices mode, which will allow you to find the cheapest nearby gas station rather than just the closest nearby gas station. And the traffic mode, which will overlay traffic on the map. So there's some premium services. You may have to pay a little bit additional or a monthly charge to be able to use them. Now, if you're going to put this in your car and navigate with it, as opposed to, for example, walking around with it, you may want to look for one of the third-party units that will actually hold the phone visible. Obviously, you don't want to keep it, use it in your car and have to hold it and sort of move it around while you're trying to drive the car. So one of the systems that will either sort of mount on the windshield with a suction cup, or some of them have an arm and the bottom can sort of screw into one of the vents or a cup holder or something like that, is a definite, if you're going to use this in your car, it's a must-have. So the bottom line, this is much cheaper than buying a dedicated GPS unit. The best ones out there will run you hundreds of dollars. The sort of low-range ones will at least run you $100. Again, you're looking at $34.99 for North America for this. So it's definitely cheaper than buying a dedicated GPS. It's just as good as one. The GPS unit in here is pretty good. Maybe not 100% as good as you might find in, say, for example, a Garmin device, but it's certainly passable if you're driving around. And a lot of the reviews online have been saying that it's pretty accurate in terms of knowing where the roads are and all that sort of stuff. This also includes walking mode, bicycle, RV, and motorcycle. So if you're not the sort of a car user, still a very practical thing to have. And the directions do change depending on the mode of transit that you've chosen to use, depending on which one, whether you're walking around or not. So again, you'll find it in the App Store. You'll find a link to download it in the show notes for this episode up on butterscotch.com. I'm Jay Goldman. You've been watching Mr. Mobile. Check our website for past episodes, and we'll catch you next time.